This is Pro Series Off Topic.
Welcome back to Pro Series Off Topic. Hope you had a great week. Hope you enjoyed Pro Series of this past week. If you did not get to listen to it, it's episode 152. The guest this week was Neil Twa. He's a professional who helps transformation in the leadership world. He's written a book, and the whole idea behind his book was kind of a playbook of a podcast that he has. His podcast is very similar to the Pro Series in a way that he interviews professionals and CEOs and all these really, really successful leaders. And he took those little snippets of what he has learned from each professional and kind of put it into a chapter. And that's the book. And it's really cool how, and we talk about a lot on the podcast of how as you get successful, you share the wealth of knowledge that you learn throughout the process and not keeping it to yourself. And that was the premise of the book. And we talk about that. We talk about leadership skills. It's a great episode, so go check that out. It's 152 with Neil Twa, and it's really on any podcast platform that you want to listen to. Next week, our guest is Charlie Panier. He was a self-made millionaire at the age of 25. Selfishly, I ask a lot of questions about that because I want to know his ways, and he's also a real estate investor. That's primarily where he got a lot of his money, but I'm going to save some of it for you to listen to the episode. It will come out Wednesday or Thursday. He's a speaker. He's a mentor. He was a great interview. I think he was in Hawaii when I interviewed him. But great episode. Look forward to that. That's going to be episode 153 again with Charlie Panier. I'll have his tags and everything in the episode coming up on Wednesday or Thursday. But I want to first get into the main topic of this week. Me being an interior designer, Off Topic has kind of pushed away and allowed me to talk about other things. But this week, I want to talk about something that if I was building a house, I'd be putting this in my house. And I know I've talked about this with, the Amazon room where you put the Amazon packages. Very smart idea, but this is another pull on it. And I'll talk about two different kind of new construction add-ons to your house that you can put in. And it's kind of has to do with Costco. And it's called on TikTok and social media called the Costco door. It's basically adding a door to your garage that goes right into your pantry. So you just open it up. It's a small door. It's probably a half door or anything smaller. And you really just push all your groceries into your pantry. Such an easier concept. I know a lot of people can't do that because a lot of their garages are underneath their home, but this is a great option. I'll have some videos below and I'll have some videos on my social media, so go check out Eric Dillman Designs. But it is called the Costco door. It's literally just a small door that you put in your pantry right off your garage. So when you are developing plans of your new home, make sure your pantry is adjacent or right next to your garage, so you're able to add this door. But it allows you to just put the groceries in, open that door, put the groceries into your pantry right away, and it saves some trips to the car. It's such a smart idea. I love it. I would definitely want to add that, and I think it's something that someone could easily add if your pantry is against the garage. But that's a very cool concept. And while we're in the Costco realm, I put into my story this week something that a lot of people actually really liked and messaged me back on. This designer, she is out of Utah. It's called Maven Design Co. And she creates islands, and this is for a kitchen that has, a lot of space to make a big island. But it's basically two cabinets butted up, and you have a voided space in the middle for any type of big table. So if you have a family, a huge family, you have them come over every holiday, and that kitchen table, the island, and the dining room is already filled up. This is a great place to hide that Costco 6-foot table in your island if you don't have that space in the garage or whatever. You literally just put a fake door to cover up the side of the cabinet plus that voided space, and you just slide in that 6-foot table in there. It's a genius idea. If you have the room to do it in your island and in your kitchen, genius idea. I've never seen this before, but it makes sense. But it's such a simple, easy way to add more storage to your home. And I love seeing these things. I love sharing these things. I think a lot of people love seeing this, and that kudos to the Maven Design Co. for thinking outside the box. I love and sharing it with everybody because a lot of designers just kind of tend to leave it to themselves and kind of keep it as that hidden jewel. But I mean, looking at this post that I have below, it did very well. So kudos for her for sharing it. But that's all I have for those main two topics. Yes, they kind of had to do with Costco. Not sponsored, just happened to be two concepts that had Costco in the name. But let's get into music this week. Music was huge. So I'm going to start talking about the media based chart and then new releases because new releases were definitely the hot topic of the week. Number 5 this week, Dustin Lynch with Jelly Roll with Chevrolet. Number 4 this week, Cody Johnson with Dirt Cheap. Number 3 this week, Drew Baldridge with She's Someone's Daughter. Number 2 this week, from 1 last week, Shabuzi at Bar Song Tipsy. And number 1 this week, up from number 3, is Nate Smith with Bulletproof. Let's get into the new music of the week. I'll save the best for last, but let's just get into it. So first up, Chase Rice came out with a new song called Haw River. It didn't speak to me. I have to listen to it a few more times, but it was okay. Next up, Justin Moore came out with a song with Randy Houser called The Worst. I really, really liked it. Justin Moore actually came out with, that's his song of the week, but he also had another song this week with someone else. Next up, Walker Hayes came out with a song called Ball Player. I was a huge Walker Hayes fan before Fancy Like. I think his sound was really interesting, new. He's a really good songwriter, and I still think he is a good songwriter. If you listen or just read the lyrics of this Ball Player song, it's about his son and kind of, or one of his sons because he's a lot of kids, about baseball and everything and growing up. And it's a great written song. It's just, I feel like he keeps using that Fancy Like style into his music, and it's not fitting with these great written songs. And he's losing a lot of, I think, traction that he could be getting on these great written songs because he's producing them the same kind of way as Fancy Like. And he has that talking, and that talking worked really well before Fancy Like, and it worked very well in Fancy Like. There's a lot of artists that hit that really, really cool number one that kind of is revolutionary, like Fancy Like, and they can never go back because they keep trying to revolutionary all their music to sound exactly like that Fancy Like sound or whatever that sound that got them there. And for me, it's just not working for him, and it's making me kind of lose a little bit of a fan in me of Walker Hayes because he does have some great written songs. It's just the way they're produced, the way I don't know. I think he needs to get a new producer, and he needs to just clear his team, just start over. Because he has some great songs. It's just, they're just not coming out the way they should be. Next up, Willie Nelson came out with a song called Last Leaf. Decent. I mean, I'm not a huge Willie Nelson fan. I think he has some good songs, but he just has a different style of country music. Craig Campbell, this one really confused me. I was excited. I downloaded it, pressed play, and the song's called Out of My Head. And I'm like, wow, this sounds so familiar. What is this? This was already one of his singles, like, a decade to 15 years ago. He just re-released it. I don't know the story behind this. I didn't do the research to figure it out, but it's kind of odd to re-release a single that he already had. It was a single. It was like the first single off the album at that time. I don't know if it never went number one. He's just trying it out again. I don't know. It's just very strange to me. Next up, again, I'm not huge into live music or live songs off of Apple Music or whatever. But this song, Cowboy Songs by George Burge, huge summer song. Or a huge song this summer. I love that song, and I do love this live version. I think I talked about it on the podcast. Really, the only other live music that I really liked was that Jake Owen album that he released not too long ago. Just a bunch of his hits, but great. And then Song of the Week, I'm going to put it into Album of the Week, and that goes to Post Malone. I think it was a hot topic of him moving over to country music, but I think he did it very well, and like Blake Shelton and Brad Paisley have said, he's very welcome into country music, and he fits in perfectly. He came out with his album F1 Trillion. It was an 18 song album. On Friday, it was the first thing I was listening to. I got to like probably it was like two more songs left in the album, and I went on Instagram and saw that he announced another 9 songs, solo songs, and came out with a deluxe version of F1 Trillion called F1 Trillion Long Bed. Honestly, I didn't see it coming. I knew he was going to come out with some type of deluxe album because, that's just the thing to do nowadays. I think a lot of people just don't want to release everything in one. It helps with sales, it helps with all that stuff. But I'm so glad he did because his solo ones are just as good as his ones. But this album, if you haven't listened to it yet, it's like you're going through different decades of country music. There's that very hugely successful stuff that's on the radio now, kind of like with Morgan Wallen. I Had Some Help, and then the Blake Shelton song Pour Me a Drink. But there's some really, really traditional stuff. Some of my favorite off the album, I love Finer Things with Hank Williams Jr. That's a great one. The one with, there's 2 songs with Luke Combs. One's really slow, the one that you already know. California Sober with Chris Stapleton, great song. Really liking the Mexico with Billy Strings and Hide My Gun with Hardy. And then probably the best solo one from both of these projects is Yours. It's about his daughter, kind of giving his daughter away at some point to get married. When she gets older, it's just his perspective about she was always his first. She might be marrying someone. She might be his whole world, but she's was Post's world before that. So great album. Definitely the album, songs, everything of the week. If you have not listened to it yet, go listen to it. So happy he went to country music, and I hope this is not his last. I don't think it's going to be his last, but great album. I think it's going to be the album of the year, and it's something that will be on repeat for me in my car for a while. But again, that's all I have this week. Huge week in country music. If you have not listened to 151, go check that out of Pro Series. 152 or 153 with Charlie Pena will be out this week. So look forward to that Wednesday or Thursday. But other than that, I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. We'll talk next.